Welcome to Romance Tales by Mandy. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin.
I never cared much about my last name. Donovan. It was just a word on my ID, a formality for job applications, something to fill in the blanks. Never carried weight, never unlocked doors, never meant anything special. And I was fine with that. My world was small but familiar. Clatter of dishes in the back of the diner, the scent of fresh coffee mixed with burnt toast, the rhythm of a life spent scraping by but never truly struggling. I worked double shifts, went to business classes at night, and dreamed of one day opening my own cafe. Nothing fancy, just a place where people felt at home. I never asked for more. And yet, on a cold Tuesday afternoon, more came knocking. The bell above the diner door jingled, and I glanced up from the counter, expecting another regular. Instead, a man in an expensive charcoal gray suit stepped inside. He didn't belong here. He carried himself like he owned the room. No, like he expected the room to belong to him. His hair was slicked back. His watch probably cost more than my yearly rent, and when his gaze landed on me, I felt it like a hook sinking deep. I wiped my hands on my apron, suddenly hyper-aware of the faded fabric, the grease stains that wouldn't come out no matter how much I scrubbed.
Emily Donovan?
He asked, his voice smooth, professional. I hesitated. Who's asking? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, sliding it across the counter with the kind of practiced ease that said he'd done this 100 times before. Michael Townsend. Legal Affairs. Lancaster Industries. Lancaster. That name meant something. Even in my tiny corner of the world, I'd heard of it. Everyone had. Lancaster Industries was an empire, a multi-billion-dollar corporation with its hands in everything from tech to real estate to luxury hotels. And I had absolutely no connection to it. Sorry, I said, pushing the card back toward him. I think you have the wrong person. But Michael Townsend didn't even blink. Instead, he opened his briefcase, pulled out a thick envelope, and placed it between us.
This is for you.
I stared at it. What is it? He exhaled, as if bracing for impact.
Your father's will.
The words didn't land right away. They hovered in the air, weightless and impossible, before slamming into me like a wrecking ball. My father's will. I didn't have a father. Or at least, not one who ever gave a damn about me. Yeah, no, I scoffed, stepping back. Whatever this is, I'm not interested.
You should be,
he said, calmly placing a hand on the envelope.
Because according to this, you're now the sole heir to a significant portion of Lancaster Industries.
I laughed. I actually laughed. Okay, buddy, I don't know what kind of scam this is, but I don't have a rich daddy hiding in the shadows, so...
Gerald Lancaster.
My breath caught. He said the name like it should mean something to me, and suddenly it did. I knew who Gerald Lancaster was. Everybody did. He was one of the most powerful men in the country. Ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. And apparently my father. My fingers curled into fists, my nails digging into my palms. This is a mistake, I whispered. Michael Townsend tilted his head slightly, studying me like he wasn't surprised by my reaction. Like he'd been expecting it.
I understand this is overwhelming.
No, you don't understand. My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care. I don't know what game you're playing, but I don't belong in your world. I don't want anything from your world. I started to walk away, but his next words stopped me cold.
There's someone else who does want it.
I turned back. What? He slid the envelope an inch closer.
Your half-brother, Nathaniel Lancaster, is contesting the will. And trust me, he does believe you're his sister. He believes it enough to want you gone.
My heart pounded against my ribs. This had to be a mistake. Cruel joke. Because if it wasn't, I had just inherited a life I never asked for. And someone out there wanted to make sure I never got the chance to live it.
I always knew this day would come. For years, I had imagined it, my moment. The day I would walk into that boardroom, shake the right hands, and claim what was always meant to be mine. Lancaster Industries wasn't just a company. It was my birthright. And now, my father was gone. I stood at the head of the long mahogany table in the Lancaster estate, the room heavy with silence. Outside, the city skyline stretched endlessly, bathed in cold, sterile light. Inside, a dozen pairs of eyes, attorneys, executives, family acquaintances, watched me with barely concealed anticipation. They all knew it. I was Gerald Lancaster's only son. The heir. The successor. Michael Townsend, my father's longtime attorney, cleared his throat and adjusted his glasses. He looked like a man who had spent too many years delivering bad news. Not that I expected any.
This won't take long,
he said, placing a thick envelope on the table.
As you all know, Mr. Lancaster recently updated his will. His wishes were clear.
I leaned back, crossing my arms. Then let's get on with it. Townsend nodded and opened the document. His voice was steady, professional.
To my loyal employees, I leave a sum to be distributed at the discretion of the board. To my charitable foundations, an ongoing endowment.
I barely listened. This was all a formality. The real moment was coming.
And finally, regarding Lancaster Industries.
Here we go. I sat up, already envisioning it. My father's voice, even from beyond the grave, passing me the torch. Naming me as rightful heir. The only choice. Townsend took a slow breath.
I leave full control of my estate and majority ownership of Lancaster Industries to my daughter, Emily Donovan.
The room dropped into absolute, suffocating silence. I blinked. For a second, I was sure I'd misheard him. What? Townsend adjusted his tie, like he was waiting for an explosion.
Emily Donovan, his biological daughter.
I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. That's impossible. No one spoke. I'm his son, I said, my voice low, dangerous. I've spent my entire life preparing for this. Who the hell is Emily Donovan? Townsend met my gaze with careful, measured calm.
Your half-sister.
Rage burned through me, quick and hot. Half-sister? I clenched my jaw, my hands curling into fists against the table. My father had an illegitimate daughter, and he left everything to her? No. This wasn't happening. This has to be a mistake, I said through gritted teeth. My father wouldn't do this. Townsend didn't flinch.
It's legally binding. She is the rightful heir.
Rightful heir. I felt the words like a slap across the face. For 34 years, I had lived in my father's shadow. Worked under him, studied him, molded myself into the man he expected me to be. I endured his impossible standards, fought tooth and nail to prove that I was worthy of carrying the Lancaster name. And now, some girl, some nobody, was taking it from me. I exhaled sharply, gripping the edge of the table to steady myself. Fine. If my father thought I would just accept this, he had underestimated me. Emily Donovan might have his name on a piece of paper. But Lancaster Industries? That was mine. And I would do whatever it took to make sure she never got her hands on it.
They dressed me in power. A black designer suit, sharp and expensive. Diamond studs in my ears. A watch that probably cost more than my entire life savings. The heels were high, uncomfortable, meant for someone who knew how to walk through a battlefield of boardrooms without flinching. I was not that person. But here I was. The moment I stepped into Lancaster Tower, I felt the weight of it pressing down on me. The glass walls, the marble floors, the way people in pressed suits turned to stare as I walked past. Some curious, some skeptical. Most waiting for me to fail. I didn't belong here. And yet my name, my new name, was plastered across headlines, spoken in hushed voices by people who had never even looked in my direction before. Emily Lancaster, surprise heiress to $1 billion empire. Still didn't feel real. Just weeks ago, my life was simple. Coffee stains on my apron, late nights studying, dreams of a future I could build with my own hands. Now I was being pulled into meetings I didn't understand, sitting in leather chairs across from men who had spent their entire lives playing a game I never even knew existed. I didn't want this. I didn't ask for this. But now I had to fight to keep it. 'Cause the moment I stepped into that conference room, I saw the truth written across every smug face at the table. They didn't see me as a leader. They saw me as a placeholder. A joke. A mistake that would soon be corrected. And at the far end of the table, Nate Lancaster leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, watching me with a slow, knowing smirk. Like he already knew how this story would end. Like he was just waiting for me to break. I swallowed hard, straightened my back, and met his gaze head-on. Not today.
She actually thinks she can do this. I sit back in my chair, watching from the far end of the conference table as Emily fumbles with the documents in front of her. She's trying to keep up, nodding along as the board members throw out numbers and projections, but I can see it, the hesitation, the uncertainty in her eyes. She doesn't belong here. And everyone in this room knows it. This isn't her world. It never was. Lancaster Industries was built on strategy, power, control. My father ruled with an iron will, cutting down anyone who stood in his way. He didn't gift success, he demanded it. And yet, he handed everything to a girl who probably spent her mornings refilling coffee cups for minimum wage. No. This company is mine. The boardroom is where I belong. At least, that's what I've always told myself. I've spent my entire life preparing for this. Every late night, every sacrifice, every deal I made, it was all to reach the one goal that's always been just out of my reach. The presidency. But no matter how many times I proved myself, how many moves I made, my father, Lancaster, always saw me as something else. Something he couldn't trust. He gave me the illusion of power for years, gave me smaller projects, made me his right-hand man, but when it came to the big decisions, the ones that would shape the future of this empire, the title always went to someone else. Someone he could control. Not me. And that stung. More than I want to admit. I knew I had the brains, the ambition, the ruthlessness. I could play the game better than anyone else in that room. But no matter what I did, my father, he always saw something darker in me. It's funny how much we overlook about ourselves when we're desperate to prove something. I always thought I was just playing the part. But looking back now, I see it was much more than that. I was becoming like him. Becoming cold. Calculating. The things I was willing to do for power, things I didn't even know I was capable of. And somehow, he saw it before I even realized. I wasn't just ambitious, I was dangerous. I wasn't just hungry for success, I was willing to destroy everything and everyone in my path to get what I wanted. I remember the last conversation we had, just before he made his final decision. It was in his office, no one else there, just the two of us. The tension was thick, heavier than it had ever been before.
"You'll never be the leader this company needs, Nate,"
he said, his voice cold.
"You think you're ready, but you're just like me, and that's why you'll fail. You'll burn it all to the ground the moment you have control. You can't be trusted with this."
I could feel my blood boiling. The words cut deep, so deep that I almost couldn't breathe. But I knew it was true. Somewhere inside, I knew he was right. I had become the thing I hated most about him, the same thing that made him incapable of giving me the power I craved. The thing that drove me to make deals under the table, to manipulate the people around me, to break anyone I needed to break in order to win. I had become a monster. And my father had known that all along. It's not about me being ready. It's about whether or not I could live with myself once I took the throne. And he knew I couldn't. So, he gave it to someone else. Someone safer. And that's when I snapped. I stopped caring. I stopped pretending. I did what I had to do to take the power he never thought I deserved. And that power will be mine, no matter who I have to crush to get it. This empire will bow to me. Because in the end, I will always win. I watch as Emily straightens her back, trying to look confident, trying to act like she has any idea what the hell she's doing. She's stubborn, I'll give her that. But stubbornness won't save her. I lean forward, clearing my throat. Miss Donovan, I say smoothly, letting the name linger, because that's what she is. A Donovan. Not a Lancaster. Since you're so eager to take the reins, perhaps you could walk us through the latest acquisition numbers? Silence. I can see it happening in real time, the flash of panic, the quick dart of her eyes toward the papers in front of her. She doesn't know. She's drowning, and I just cut off her last supply of air. Someone shifts uncomfortably. One of the older board members coughs. I can already hear the whispers forming. She's not ready. She's not capable. She shouldn't be here. Emily lifts her chin, her jaw tightening like she's willing herself not to flinch. I almost admire it. Almost. But admiration doesn't change the facts. She is a liability. A weakness. And weaknesses in this world? They get eliminated. She might have my father's name on paper. But I won't stop until I bury her under it.
Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a man stepping into a room and making the air shift around him. A man who walks with quiet confidence, who doesn't need to demand attention because it already belongs to him. That's exactly what happens when Alex Hayes walks into my office. Alex Hayes, CEO of Hayes Enterprises, was a commanding presence. He didn't have to do anything to earn the respect of everyone in the room. The way he walked, like the ground beneath him, was his to conquer, and the simple act of sitting at the table. He was the kind of man who commanded attention in any room without effort. But it wasn't just that. There was something else about him, a certain energy maybe, the way he surveyed everything with a sharp, almost calculating gaze. It wasn't just his position or influence that captivated me. There was something deeper, something that made me realize I wasn't just looking at a rival CEO. I was watching a man who was more than just power or control. I don't stand. Not right away. Because if there's one thing I've learned in the past few weeks, it's that the moment you show uncertainty, men like him own you. So I stay seated. He approaches slowly, like he has all the time in the world. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit that moves with him like a second skin. His dark brown hair is neatly styled, his sharp features impossible to ignore. But it's his eyes that hold me in place, deep brown, calculating, the kind that see everything. And right now they're seeing me.
Miss Lancaster,
he says smoothly, extending a hand. It's the first time someone has called me that without doubt, without hesitation. Like I actually belong here. I shake his hand. His grip is firm, controlled, deliberate. Mr. Hayes, I reply, keeping my voice steady.
please call me Alex.
He says, lowering himself into the chair across from me, completely at ease. I don't. Because I don't trust men like him. Not the ones who move through the world like it's theirs to claim. Not the ones who study you like a puzzle they're already halfway through solving.
I'll be honest with you.
He continues, crossing one ankle over his knee.
Your father and I never saw eye to eye. We played on opposite sides of the board. But I always respected the way he played the game.
A slow, knowing smirk tugs at his lips. I hold his gaze. And now, his eyes flicker with something unreadable.
Now, there's a new player.
A chill runs down my spine. This isn't a business meeting. It's a test. He's here to weigh me, to see if I'm fragile enough to break, inexperienced enough to manipulate. He doesn't see me as a CEO. He sees me as an opportunity. A piece on the board, waiting to be moved. I lift my chin, refusing to look away. Is that why you're here? To welcome me to the game. Alex chuckles, low and deliberate. He leans in slightly, just enough to lower his voice, just enough for me to catch the faint scent of his cologne. Warm, sophisticated, dangerous.
Oh, Emily.
His smirk deepens.
I'm here to see if you know how to play.
I was drawn to him, yes. But it wasn't just about what he was or the power he represented. It was something deeper. Something that made me want to figure out what else was behind that calculating, cold gaze. I knew I was stepping into dangerous territory, but somehow I couldn't pull away. I was losing control, and he knew it.
I came here to assess her, to measure the cracks, find the weak spots, figure out exactly how much pressure it would take before she shattered. Because Emily Lancaster isn't just some girl who got lucky. She's a problem. A problem I might be able to use. I expected a pawn. Someone naive, overwhelmed. Drowning in a world too big for her. A woman who didn't understand the weight of the crown she had just inherited. But now, sitting across from her in this sleek, glass-walled office, I realize I might have miscalculated. Emily is composed. She doesn't fidget, doesn't shrink under my gaze. And when I test her, pushing, prodding, laying traps in the conversation, she doesn't stumble. She sees them. She doesn't always know how to sidestep them. Not yet, but she's learning. Fast. Interesting. At first, I told myself it was only business. She was a means to an end, a stepping stone to taking down Nate. But now, as I sit here, staring across the table at her, there's something more. The way she holds herself. That quiet confidence that draws me in. It's not just her beauty, though that's certainly hard to ignore. It's the fire in her eyes, the way she doesn't back down when I push, even when I can see the uncertainty flicker behind that controlled expression. I've dealt with women like her before, strong, calculated, determined. But there's something about Emily that keeps me intrigued, even in the midst of everything. I imagine this transition has been overwhelming. I say smoothly, keeping my voice light, casual. Going for, what was it, a cafe job. I tilt my head. To running $1 billion empire, I expect a flicker of insecurity, a crack in that carefully controlled expression. Instead, she just gives me a small, unreadable smile.
I imagine it was overwhelming for you, too. Starting Hayes Global at 26 with nothing but a business loan and a handful of stolen clients.
She says, I arch a brow. So she's done her research. Smart. But knowing facts and knowing how to survive in this world are two different things. She still has no idea how dangerous this game is. I lean back, studying her, something shifting in me I can't quite explain. She's not the pawn I thought she would be. There's more to her than meets the eye. And yet here you are, I muse, holding on to something that doesn't belong to you. Her expression hardens just slightly, but she keeps her voice steady.
I believe the will says otherwise.
I chuckle, low and approving. She's sharp, I'll give her that. But she's standing in the middle of a battlefield without realizing just how many people want her gone. And at the top of that list, Nate Lancaster. That's what brought me here. I wanted to dismantle Nate's empire for years. But his father was a wall I could never break through. Now that wall is gone. And in its place stands Emily. Unexpected, unprepared, but maybe, just maybe, useful. She wants to prove she belongs here. Nate wants to burn her to the ground. I could offer her something neither of them are expecting. A deal. I glance at her hand, resting on the desk, fingers curled just slightly. Her nails are neat, professional. No rings, no tells. She doesn't trust me. Good. She shouldn't. Because Emily Lancaster might be more than I expected. But she's still just a piece on the board. And I never lose at this game. But somewhere deep down, beneath the cold calculations, there's something else stirring. A gnawing feeling I don't quite understand. Something about the way she looks at me. The way her voice shakes just a little when she's angry. The quiet strength she tries so hard to keep hidden. It makes me wonder if I'm really in control of this game after all. Is it just business? Or is it something more? I don't know yet. But I'm starting to think I might not be able to walk away when the game is over.
Starts with a whisper. A single article, buried in the business section of a mid-tier financial outlet. A subtle attack, just enough to plant the seed.
Insiders expressed doubt over Lancaster Heiress's readiness to lead.
Not an outright accusation. No, that would be too obvious. This is more insidious. A question left hanging in the air, waiting for people to answer it for themselves. And they do. Within hours, it spreads. Blogs pick it up, then bigger outlets. Soon, cable news is running segments on me, flashing my face across the screen like I'm some kind of case study in corporate nepotism. They talk about my lack of experience. They analyze my body language in board meetings. They compare me to Nate. And worst of all, they start calling me the one thing I swore I'd never be, a mistake. I stare at my phone, the headlines blurring together as I scroll. Did Richard Lancaster's last decision doom his empire? Can a former waitress handle a billion-dollar business? The fall of Lancaster Industries, how long before the crash? My hands tighten around the device. I know exactly who's behind this. This isn't bad luck. This isn't just the press being the press. This is deliberate. Precise. This is Nate. And I walked right into it. I should have seen it coming. I should have known that a man who spent his whole life preparing for this crown wouldn't just sit back and watch someone else wear it. This is just the beginning. A test. A warning shot. If I fold now, if I show weakness, he wins. I take a breath, shoving my phone aside. The headlines don't matter. The whispers don't matter. 'Cause I'm still here. And if Nate wants to take me down, he'll have to do a hell of a lot more than this.
She's learning. Not fast enough to stop the first hit. Nate saw to that. But she didn't break. She took the punch, stood back up, and now she's pissed. Good. Anger is useful. It sharpens the edges, makes people willing to do things they wouldn't have before. And Emily Lancaster? She's about to learn that if she wants to survive, she'll have to stop playing fair. I find her in her office, standing by the window, arms crossed tightly over her chest. The city sprawls beneath her, glittering towers stretching toward the sky. Power and wealth laid out like a kingdom she never asked to rule. She hears me come in but doesn't turn.
You're late,
She says, voice clipped. I smirk, enjoying the slight edge in her tone. It's part of what makes her so intriguing. I wasn't aware we had an appointment. Now she looks at me. She's tired. I can see it in the slight tension in her jaw. The way her posture is just a little too stiff, like she's bracing for the next hit.
They're tearing me apart.
She says bluntly. She doesn't need to elaborate. I already know. I watched the headlines roll out, saw the market waver just enough to make her board nervous. I step closer, moving into her space, just close enough to make her feel the heat of my presence, but not too close to overwhelm her. And what are you going to do about it? Her lips pressed together. She wants to say she'll fight back, that she won't let Nate win, but she doesn't know how yet. That's where I come in.
You think I don't see what you're doing?
She says, tilting her head, those dark eyes narrowing just slightly as she tries to read me.
You're enjoying this. Watching me scramble, waiting for me to get desperate enough to
To what, Emily? I interrupt smoothly, my voice low and controlled. But there's a hint of something else beneath it. Something raw. Ask for my help? Silence. There it is. The moment of hesitation. The flicker of uncertainty in those eyes. It's almost as if she's wondering why she's even considering asking me for anything. She doesn't want to need me, but she also knows she can't do this alone. I take another step, closing the distance, just enough to make her aware of me, of the pull between us that neither of us can ignore. I can make this stop, I say softly, my voice darker now, more intimate. Nate's playing dirty, and right now, you're still trying to fight fair. That's why you're losing. Her fingers tighten around her arms. She knows I'm right. She just doesn't want to admit it.
You think I should stoop to his level?
She asks, her voice edged with defiance. But I can see the cracks in it. I chuckle, a low, almost predatory sound that makes her tense. I think you should stop pretending you're not in a war. She exhales sharply, looking back at the window, at the city she's supposed to control but doesn't. Not yet. I can't help but watch the way she stands, how she holds herself, how much strength she's hiding beneath that cool exterior. Something about it draws me in more than I expected.
I don't trust you,
she says after a beat. I grin. Good, because trust isn't necessary. Not in this game. What matters is that she wants to win, and I can show her how. But as I stand there, looking at her, really looking at her, I realize something shifted. There's a strange pull between us, something I can't explain away with just business. Maybe it's the way her hair falls around her shoulders, or the fire in her eyes when she looks at me. Or maybe it's the way she makes me want to see her succeed, even if it's not in my best interest. I'm not sure yet, but I'll be damned if I'm going to walk away now.
Alex Hayes thinks I'll bend. That eventually the pressure will crack me open and I'll take his hand, let him mold me into something useful for him. He's wrong. I didn't claw my way through life just to trade one leash for another. Nate wants to destroy me. The board is waiting for me to collapse. The media has already written my downfall. And Alex? He's just another man trying to control the pieces on the board. But I'm not a piece. I'm the one they never saw coming. I stare at the contract in front of me, the bold black ink spelling out the deal Alex is offering. He's clever, I'll give him that. Terms are enticing, a perfectly wrapped package that would solve everything. Crisis management, damage control, strategic partnerships. All I have to do is sign. All I have to do is let him guide me. I glance up at him across the table, and for a moment I feel a wave of heat I don't expect. He's watching me, those dark eyes steady, the faintest trace of a smirk on his lips. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's watching me like he already owns me, and damn it, I can feel the pull. The way his presence fills the room, the magnetic energy between us, the way he challenges me and makes me feel like I'm fighting for something real. But I refuse to be molded by anyone.
It's not weakness to take help,
He says smoothly. I meet his gaze, my pulse steady, but beneath the calm exterior, I feel a flutter of something I don't want to acknowledge. No, I agree. But it's weakness to let someone else own you. Something flickers in his eyes. An amusement, maybe even admiration, but it's gone too quickly for me to be sure. Alex is good at hiding his true thoughts. I push the contract back toward him. I won't be your pawn. He leans in just a fraction, his smile slow and deliberate, a challenge I can't quite ignore.
You're making this harder on yourself.
He murmurs, voice low and rich, a hint of something like desire in the way he speaks my name. Maybe, I say, my own voice steady despite the tension tightening in my chest. But at least it'll be my fight. I stand, smoothing my hands down my blazer, trying to hold on to the control I know I'm losing. I feel his gaze follow me as I move toward the door, heavy with something more than business. I don't look back. I can't. 'Cause I know exactly what I'm walking into. A war. A storm. A game that was never meant for me to win. But if Alex Hayes thinks he can make me his, he's sorely mistaken. I'd rather lose on my own terms than let someone else decide my fate. But as I step out, there's a part of me, quiet, hidden, that wonders if there's more to this than just strategy. More to him than just a man offering a contract. Something deeper. Something I don't want to feel but can't deny. The way he makes me want to believe that maybe, just maybe, I'm not fighting this alone.
Emily Lancaster doesn't belong here. She can play dress-up all she wants, wear the designer suits, sit at the head of my father's table, pretend she's one of us. But she isn't. She's a fraud. A mistake my father refused to erase. And now she's standing in my place, holding the empire that should be mine. Not for much longer. I gave her a chance to crumble on her own. The press, the doubt, the weight of an industry she knows nothing about, I thought it would break her. It didn't. So now, I'll have to break her myself. I watch the numbers shift on the screen in front of me. The stock is holding. She survived the first hit. But survival isn't enough, not when she's still standing on my throne. That's why I've been working on something else. Something final.
Are you sure about this?
Carter, my attorney, hesitates beside me. He's loyal, but he doesn't have the stomach for this. He thinks I'm going too far. He's wrong. This isn't just business, I say, my eyes never leaving the screen. This is personal. And it is. Because Emily Lancaster isn't just my competition. She's the embarrassment my father left me with. The reminder that I was never enough for him, not enough to be his only child, not enough to be his first choice. So I'll erase her. I lean back in my chair, fingers tapping against the desk. Drop it, I instruct. Carter exhales sharply, but he does as he's told. A few keystrokes. A single command. And then, boom. The story hits the internet like a bullet.
Lancaster heiress caught in corporate fraud scandal. Did she fake her way to the top?
It's bullshit. Fabricated. I even had my own sources feeding me information, some from the usual places, some from someone closer to her than she'd ever suspect. Twisted half-truths and well-placed lies. But it doesn't matter. People don't care about facts. They care about scandal. They care about watching someone fall. And Emily? She's about to hit the ground hard.
Trust is a fragile thing. I thought I was careful. Thought I kept my circle small enough, my guard high enough. But I was wrong. 'Cause betrayal never comes from the outside. Comes from within. The article is everywhere. My name, my company, my reputation, all dragged through the mud in bold, screaming headlines. Lies mixed with just enough truth to make them believable. Corporate fraud. Ethics violations. A woman out of her depth, pretending to be something she's not. I can almost hear Nate laughing. I should be panicking. Should be scrambling to do damage control. But all I can feel is this slow, cold rage curling through my veins. 'Cause someone helped him. This wasn't just an attack, it was precision. An inside job. I pace my office, my mind racing through the possibilities. Who had access? Who knew enough to leak the right information, twist the right details? I trusted these people. And one of them just put a knife in my back. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Check your inner circle. He's closer than you think. I freeze. My stomach twists. There's only one person who's been with me through everything. One person who had my back from the moment I stepped into this world. I don't want to believe it, but I have to be sure. I grab my coat and head for the door, my heart pounding. If this is true, if the person I trusted most sold me out to Nate, then I'm not just fighting for my company anymore. I'm fighting to survive.
I should walk away. That was always the plan. Get close, use her, take Nate down, and walk away clean. But somewhere along the way, the lines blurred. Now, I'm standing too close to the fire, and I'm not sure I want to move. Emily Lancaster wasn't supposed to be interesting. She was supposed to be desperate, naive, and easy target. Just another player in this game. But she's not. She's stubborn, sharp, tougher than I expected. And when she looks at me, like she's trying to figure me out, it makes something tighten in my chest in a way I don't like. She's dangerous. Not because she's a threat to my plans. Because she's a threat to me. I catch myself watching her too often. The way her jaw clenches when she's pissed. The way she squares her shoulders before walking into a room full of people who want her to fail. The way she refuses to break, even when it would be easier. And now Nate's made his move. The scandal, the betrayal. It's closing in on her fast. And I should be stepping back, letting the chaos swallow her whole. Instead, I'm the one pulling her out of it. The one standing in the line of fire when I should be the one lighting the match. But there's something here I can't ignore. Something that doesn't add up. Who leaked those details? Who pushed Nate's attack so precisely? The information wasn't just public knowledge. It was targeted. Someone wanted to bring Emily down. And they used her own secrets against her. I'm sure of it, but I didn't do it. At least not directly. And Emily? She's been so focused on Nate that I don't think she realizes someone on her side might be playing a part in this. But that's my mess to untangle. This wasn't the plan. I sit in my office, fingers steepled, jaw tight. I need to fix this, create distance before I do something stupid. Before I make a mistake I can't undo. Before I start seeing her as something more than a pawn in the game. But it's getting harder to see her as just that. I'm supposed to be calculating, detached. Yet there's something about her fight, the way she stands tall against the storm, something that keeps me off balance. I can't stop thinking about her. Then my phone vibrates. Emily? I stare at her name on the screen, my pulse kicking up. I should ignore it. I don't, because it's already too late.
There are moments in life when you know you're about to make a mistake. You see the edge, you feel the pull, and you jump anyway. I shouldn't have called him. I knew that the second I heard his voice on the other end of the line, but I still did it. Because after everything, after the headlines, the betrayal, the sinking feeling that the walls were closing in, there was only one person I wanted to see. And now he's here. Alex stands in my office, his expression unreadable, his dark eyes locked on me like he's trying to figure me out.
I shouldn't be here.
He says, voice low, almost apologetic. I swallow hard. I know. Silence stretches between us, thick and heavy, filled with all the things we're not saying. But the silence doesn't last. Did you do it? I ask, the words slipping out before I can stop them. Alex's brow furrows, and the air around us grows colder. His eyes narrow just slightly, disbelief flashing across his face.
What are you talking about?
You think I don't know? I cross my arms over my chest, refusing to break eye contact. You leaked those damn details to Nate, didn't you? You're playing me just like everyone else. Alex takes a step forward, his jaw tight, the tension crackling between us.
I didn't do it.
He growls, his voice low but certain.
And I swear to you, Emily, I'll help you figure out who did. But don't you dare think for 1 second that I'm the one betraying you.
I want to say something. I want to keep pushing to make him explain himself, to tear this all apart and figure out exactly where we stand. But I can't. 'Cause something in his eyes, something raw and honest, keeps me silent. I take a breath, and before I can stop myself, the anger dissipates, replaced by something else. Something I can't ignore. He's not lying. At least not about this. I glance away, trying to regain my composure, but it's impossible. The air feels heavy now, thick with all the unspoken things between us. And no matter how hard I try to push them aside, the pull is still there. Till I should send him away. I should keep my distance. This is business. He's a strategist, always looking for ways to gain control. He doesn't want me, he wants what I can offer. But then he takes another step forward. And that's it. The final straw. My breath catches as I feel the heat between us flare. It's impossible to resist any longer. Not when he's so close. Not when everything inside of me is screaming to just feel something, anything, to stop thinking about everything crashing down around me. I don't know who moves first. All I know is that his mouth crashes onto mine, hot and demanding, his hands gripping my waist like he can't let go. Like he doesn't want to. I feel his breath on my skin, feel his lips devouring mine with an intensity one didn't expect, didn't want but needed more than I could admit. The kiss is wild, urgent, a release of everything we've been holding back. I should pull away. I should stop this. But I don't. And for one reckless, desperate second, neither do I.
Some people fight battles. I win wars. And Emily? She doesn't even realize she's already lost. I watch as the chaos I orchestrated unfolds. The media is circling like vultures. The board is nervous. Investors are whispering behind closed doors. Everything is moving exactly as I planned. Because Emily Lancaster doesn't belong here. She wasn't raised in this world. She doesn't understand the rules. And she damn sure doesn't know how to play the game. But I do. Which is why I have one last move to make. The kind of move that doesn't just knock someone down. It buries them for good. I lean back in my chair, fingers steepled, a slow smirk curling on my lips. Because I have a secret. A bombshell that's going to rip through her perfect little moral high ground and leave her standing in the rubble. I found something. A document. Buried deep in Lancaster's personal records, hidden where no one was supposed to look. Proof that a child was adopted. Not just any child. A Lancaster heir, one who was never his by blood. And Emily? She's been claiming a legacy that may not be hers at all. She wasn't his daughter. She was chosen. Handpicked. A replacement for something he lost. And suddenly, her claim to the empire isn't as airtight as she thought. Because if this comes out, the board won't just question her ability to lead. They'll question if she has any right to be here at all. She thinks she's struggling now. She has no idea what's coming. Because once I drop this, there's no coming back. No saving face. No last-minute redemption. Just the end. And I never lose.
There are moments in life when the ground beneath you doesn't just shake, collapses, and you're left standing on nothing. The headline hits like a wrecking ball. I barely register the gasps of my team, the panicked calls from my lawyers, the cold silence from the board members who were already looking for an excuse to doubt me. I can't even breathe. 'Cause right there, splashed across every major news outlet, is a truth I didn't see coming. A truth that makes my stomach plummet. I shouldn't have been so naive. I should have known Nate wouldn't just sit back and let me take what he thinks belongs to him. But I wasn't prepared for this. For my entire existence to be questioned. For the whispers to start. Is she really Lancaster's daughter? Could her mother have been lying? Does she even deserve any of this? The doubts sink in like poison, spreading fast. And the worst part? For a second, just a single terrifying second, I ask myself the same thing. Who am I, really? What if I was never supposed to be here? What if I'm just some mistake? A fraud? I feel the walls closing in. The weight of the world pressing down on my chest. And then, my phone buzzes. A single message, From him. Alex.
Come to me.
I stare at the screen, my pulse hammering in my ears. 'Cause I know what this means. If I go to him, there's no turning back. But if I don't, I might not survive what comes next.
There's a moment before a high-stakes gamble where time slows down, where you know without a doubt that after this, nothing will ever be the same, and yet you still go all in. Emily walks into my office like a storm that hasn't decided if it wants to destroy everything in its path or beg to be saved. Her face is unreadable, but her eyes, they tell me everything. She's unraveling, she's breaking, and the world is watching, waiting for the final crack. I don't think, I don't hesitate. I just move, because I know exactly how this game is played. I know the only way to win. I lean back in my chair, fingers tapping against the polished wood of my desk, watching the breaking news on the screen. The same headlines that were tearing her apart an hour ago, gone, replaced by something much bigger, much worse for Nate. Emily finally notices the TV behind me. Her lips part, her breath catching. Her voice is barely a whisper.
What did you do?
I meet her eyes, steady, unwavering. I buried him. The footage plays on every network. Leaked emails, documents, proof that Nate had been manipulating stock values, using company assets for personal gain, bribing officials. I had my people dig for weeks, and when the time was right, I pulled the trigger. Emily shakes her head, disbelief flickering across her face.
This could destroy him.
I lean forward, voice low. That was a point. She's silent, processing. She should be angry. She should be questioning why I did this. But instead, she whispers,
You just made an enemy.
I already had one. But now Nate Lancaster knows exactly what I'm capable of. And I don't lose. Not when it comes to business. And sure as hell, not when it comes to her.
Fear is a parasite. Clings to your skin, seeps into your bloodstream, whispers in your ear that you're not strong enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. I've spent my entire life listening to that voice. But not anymore. I won't run. Not from him. Not from this. The boardroom is silent when I enter. A battlefield before the war begins. Nate is already seated at the head of the table, legs crossed, looking like a king waiting for his subjects to kneel. Too bad I never learned how to bow.
Emily.
He greets smoothly, a smirk playing at his lips.
You're braver than I thought.
I'm exactly what you feared I'd be. I take the chair across from him, meeting his gaze without flinching. He laughs, shaking his head.
You really think you can win this?
I don't answer. I don't need to. 'Cause the moment I walked into this room, I already won. The doors swing open behind me, and every head in the room turns as Alex steps inside. Nate's smirk falters. Good. 'Cause Alex wasn't supposed to be here. He takes the seat next to me without a word, his presence a silent declaration. He's on my side. And Nate knows it. For the first time I see it, the flicker of doubt in his eyes. That's the thing about men like him. They only know how to fight when they have the upper hand. But I'm done playing his game. I lean forward, my voice steady, unshaken. You spent your whole life making sure no one could take this from you. My lips curl into something that isn't quite a smile. But you never thought someone like me would walk through that door. His jaw tightens. I press on. This is over, Nate. His fingers clench against the table, his mask cracking just enough for me to see what's beneath it. Panic. 'Cause he knows. He knows that for the first time in his life, he's already lost. There's a moment right before the final move where everything slows. Chaos fades. The noise dies down. And all that's left is me, standing at the top of the empire they swore I could never hold. They tried to break me. Nate, the board, the media. They waited for me to crumble, to prove that I was just a girl in over her head. But they forgot something. I've been fighting my whole damn life. I didn't choose this war, but I sure as hell wasn't going to lose it. And now? Now it's over. I step into the boardroom, the weight of every battle, every betrayal, every lesson carved into my bones. Nate is already there. He's seated at the head of the table, my seat, because he still thinks he's won. He thinks the whispers in the shadows, the rumors of my illegitimacy, are enough to burn me down. He doesn't know I found the truth before he could use it against me. He doesn't know he is the lie. I slide a folder onto the table, flipping it open with the ease of someone who knows they've already won. Inside, the records he thought were his golden ticket. The adoption papers, the carefully buried scandal of my real mother, the affair my father tried to erase. I know what you found, I say, my voice calm, measured. But you made one mistake. I lean in, letting him see it in my eyes, the certainty, the unshakable truth. The name on the original adoption file. Not mine. His. I see it hit him. The slow realization. The unraveling. He spent his life thinking he was the rightful heir. That he was chosen. But he wasn't. He was a desperate move, a carefully orchestrated deception. Because years ago, when my mother fled with me, it wasn't out of shame. It wasn't out of guilt. It was out of fear. She was forced to leave. My grandmother, my father's mother, made it clear she would never accept me. The bastard child. Product of an affair. My father wanted to go after her. He wanted to bring us back. But then came her. Nate's mother. The woman who had been waiting in the shadows, the woman who saw an opportunity and took it. She lied. She told my father she was pregnant, told him she was carrying his real heir. And when that lie threatened to unravel, she adopted Nate. She made sure my father believed the baby was his, made sure the world never questioned it. And Nate? He grew up believing he was destined for this. That it was always his. But it never was. And now, as he stares at the papers in front of him, at the truth he never saw coming, I watch it all collapse. I could drag this out. Watch him suffer. Make him beg. But I don't. I just lean in, meeting his eyes with the cold, unwavering truth. You thought you'd prove I wasn't a Lancaster, I say, my voice quiet. Lethal. Turns out the only fraud in this family is you. Silence. Kind that crushes. The kind that destroys. I don't need to say more. The board knows. The media knows. And now? The world knows Nate Lancaster was never a Lancaster at all. The fraud. The manipulator. The man who spent his life clawing for this empire, the man who tried to steal it from me. He was never even in the running. It's over. For him. For everyone who tried to bury me. I take my seat at the head of the table. My seat. The weight of it settles around me, but I don't shrink. I don't hesitate. Because I didn't ask for this world. But it's mine now. I should feel invincible. But when I step out onto the balcony later that night, staring at the skyline stretching before me, there's only one thing missing. Alex. I don't know where he stands now. I don't know if he's still playing the game, if he'll walk away now that there's nothing left to win, or if what we had, what we were becoming, was ever real at all. But as I turn back toward the empire I just took, I know one thing. No matter what happens next, I'm ready.
I should have stayed. I should have watched Nate burn. Watched Emily take her rightful place at the head of the empire. Her empire. With those sharp brown eyes daring anyone to challenge her. But I couldn't. Because standing there, watching her win, something inside me broke. I spent years telling myself I hated the Lancasters, that every piece of their empire was built on corruption and greed, that I could never be on their side. But then Emily walked into my life, and now I don't know which war I've been fighting anymore. I disappear before the boardroom walls close in, before she can see the war raging beneath the surface. The one I've been losing since the moment I met her. I tell myself I'm giving her space, that she deserves to have this victory without me standing in the shadows. But the truth? I'm scared, because if I stay, if I let myself believe there's a future where we're not on opposite sides of this, then I'll have to surrender the one thing I've been holding on to for so long, the grudge, the revenge I built my entire life around. The Lancaster name was supposed to be my enemy, not the woman who carries it, not the woman who looks at me like I'm worth saving, even when I don't deserve it. I should walk away, but I can't. Not from her. Not now. I find myself at her office where we met that night. The night everything between us shifted. The city sprawls beneath me, lights flickering in the dark. I think about the first time I kissed her, how she tasted like something dangerous and sweet, like secrets she was too afraid to speak out loud, how she looked at me like I was the last person in the world she should want, but wanted me anyway. The door creaks open behind me. I know it's her before she says a word. Her heels click against the concrete, slow and deliberate. She stops beside me, close enough that I can feel the heat of her body, but not close enough to touch. She doesn't look at me right away, just stares out at the skyline, the empire she just claimed as her own.
You disappeared,
she says quietly. There's no anger in her voice, just understanding. I close my eyes for half a second, letting the weight of it sink in. I didn't know if I belonged in that room. She's quiet for a long moment. Then,
you belong wherever I am.
Fuck, this woman is going to ruin me. I finally turn to face her, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she's not guarded, not fighting. She's just Emily, the girl who never asked for any of this, the woman who took it anyway. I swallow hard, trying to find the words, trying to explain that the war I've been fighting isn't with her anymore. It's with myself. But she beats me to it.
I know what this company did to you.
Her voice is steady, but there's a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes.
I know what my father did. And if walking away from me is the only way you can win that fight, I won't stop you.
I feel my chest tighten.
But I think maybe it's time to stop fighting.
Her words slice through the last piece of armor I've been clinging to, because she's not asking me to surrender to her empire. She's asking me to surrender to her, to us. I step closer, closing the distance between us inch by inch. I don't give up easily, Emily. A small, knowing smile curves on her lips.
I know.
I brush my fingers along her jaw, tilting her face up to mine. Her breath hitches, like maybe she wasn't sure if I'd ever touch her again. Like maybe she's been fighting this battle just as hard as I have. I spent my whole life wanting to take down the Lancasters, I murmur, my thumb tracing the curve of her cheek. Her eyes flick between mine.
And now?
I lean in, letting my forehead rest against hers. Now, I just want you. Her breath catches, soft, broken. For a second, neither of us moves. Then she's in my arms, her mouth crashing against mine in a kiss that tastes like surrender and promises we're still too scared to make. I pour everything into that kiss. Every battle, every betrayal, every sleepless night spent wanting her when I had no right to. When we finally break apart, her eyes are glassy, her hands still gripping the front of my shirt like she's afraid I'll disappear again. I brush a strand of hair from her face, searching her gaze. What if we stop fighting each other? I ask quietly.
What if we build something better?
Her lips part, surprised maybe, hopeful.
A merger?
She whispers. A slow smirk tugs at the corner of my mouth. Something like that. She exhales a shaky breath, her forehead pressing against mine.
I thought you'd never ask.
I kiss her again, slower this time, like maybe this was always the only war that ever really mattered. By the time we pull away, The skyline is stretching toward dawn, the city stirring beneath us. I know there's still hell to pay. I know the past won't disappear overnight. But standing here, with her in my arms, her empire at our feet, for the first time in my life, I'm ready to stop fighting. Because some wars are worth surrendering to.
2 years ago, I walked into this world as an outsider. A girl with the wrong name, the wrong past, trying to claim something that was never supposed to be mine. Now I wake up every morning next to the man who taught me how to fight for it and how to share it. The empire isn't just mine anymore. It's ours. Lancaster and Heiress. They called it the merger of the decade, 2 legacies colliding, reshaping the market. The headlines spun their stories: power couple, corporate royalty, a love story built on scandal. But they'll never know what it really took to get here. How many battles we had to fight. How many times we almost lost each other along the way. I lean against the balcony railing, watching the sun melt into the city skyline. The same view that used to make me feel like I was standing at the edge of a kingdom I'd never truly belonged to. But not anymore. I hear him before I feel him, bare feet against the hardwood, a glass of wine in one hand, the other wrapping around my waist from behind. Alex presses his mouth to the curve of my shoulder, slow and lazy, like he's memorizing the taste of me.
You're working too hard again.
I smile, leaning back into him. Maybe. His hand slides down to rest over my stomach. Barely a curve there yet, but he knows. He's known since the moment the test turned positive, weeks before I could even find the words to tell him.
You're building something bigger now.
He murmurs against my neck.
You can let the empire breathe for a little while.
I cover his hand with mine, fingers lacing together over the secret only we know. This baby wasn't part of the plan. Then again, neither were we. But some things are bigger than plans. I turn in his arms, tilting my face up to him. I always thought this world would break me. His thumb brushes along my jaw, eyes soft in a way only I ever get to see.
It almost did.
I smile faintly. But then you caught me. Alex leans down, pressing his forehead against mine.
You didn't need me to catch you, Emily. You were always going to land on your feet.
He kisses me slow, like we have all the time in the world. And maybe we do. I glance out at the skyline one last time, the city glowing beneath us. It's not just an empire anymore. It's home. I was never supposed to have any of this: love, power, family. But I fought for it. I bled for it. And now, I get to build something new. Something that will outlive both of us.